9, 8, 7, 6, נראה לי אנחנו באוויר, איזה כיף, איזה כיף. אהלן חברים, מה שלומכם? אנחנו בלייב, איתי פה נמצא אדם ונדיש, האיש והאגדה. אדם הוא, ככה אנחנו היום קצת במציאות גלובלית, לאדם יש עסקי CBD באנגליה. Good evening אדם, how are you? אדם גם מדבר עברית, נכון?
כן, אני גם מדבר.
עם מבטא, אז אנחנו נתרגל לזה, וכאן איתנו, האיש והאגדה, בן חירות.
מה המצב כולם?
כן, עוד מעט יצטרף אלינו ניר יופטרו, אנחנו נתנו לניר יופטרו ולמרקוס את האפשרות להצטרף בסביבות השעה 6:15, 6:20, ועד אז אנחנו רוצים קצת לדון בכל מיני נושאים שקשורים בעיקר לקהילת הקנאביס ולצריכה של קנאביס, כמו שאנחנו תמיד מדברים, אבל אני רוצה להתחיל מנהג חדש. במנהג הזה אני רוצה לשאול אתכם, הנה אני מקבל טלפונים מהרדיו, אני רוצה לשאול אתכם, מה אתם רכשתם השבוע במרשם שלכם? אדם, מה אתה רכשת?
את הטרפיס לרפי של קווסט.
טרפיס לרפי של קווסט?
כן.
למה בחרת אותו? Why did you choose that?
כי ניסיתי בעבר ואני אהבתי אותו. היה לי את הטעם שלו, סבבה, בהשפעה טובה. לא אהבתי את כל הזנים שלהם, אבל דווקא אהבתי.
איך הפרחים שלהם יצאו?
יפה. לא הכי... יפה! not the best in the world, the life.
כשמישהו אומר לי, יפה! אז אני יודע שזה היה נחמד.
נחמד.
אבל סך הכל גם אני ניסיתי את הטרפיס לרפי, הוא היה לי ממש טוב, ואני מאוד נהניתי ממנו. מתחבר למה שאתה אומר. מתחבר למה שאתה אומר. מה איתך בין מה אתה...
תשמע, טרפיס לרפי גידול מאוד איכותי, והוא מאוד טעים. אני לא יודע אם הוא הכי חזק באופן מדיקלי. אני אישית השבוע קניתי יבוא קנדי ב-99 שקל מוזל, בשם קריפט 91, שזה בעצם קפטן קריפט, שילוב של קאם דוג 91. וואו, אני הופלעתי ברמות, ניחוחות של בננה עם קצת מלון.
באיזה מוצר עוד פעם? כי אתה אומר את זה בצורה שמגרה אותי. בננה ומלון?
נכון, בננה ומלון, גם ריח חזק וטעם של בננה.
אני אגיד לך, מה ששמתי לב שאותם הזנים שיש להם יותר ריחות, יותר טעמים, גם יש להם יותר באיזשהו מקום תרפוטים, יותר תרפוטים, זאת אומרת, הם יותר מועילים רפואית. כנראה שהטרפנים, ברגע שהם איפשהו נותנים אפקטיביות ומשפרים את היעילות של החיבור של ה-THC וה-CBD לתאים, לפחות זה מה שאנחנו
דובר רבות הרי, ודיברנו רבות על אפקט הפמליה.
נכון. וכמה
הוא חשוב. אנחנו, אתה יודע, אני חושב, ממיתים בחשיבות של הסינרגיה הזו. אני אישית, תמיד כמעט ותמיד, מערבב את הסוגי קנאביס שלי ביחד, כן? אינדיקה סטיבה, משהו יותר טוב לריכוז, משהו יותר טוב לכאבים, משהו מוריד את הסטרס, משהו נותן לישון. זאת אומרת, אני משלב ביחד את הזנים, לכל אחד אני מוצא בהם את משהו שהוא הכי טוב, ואז אני משלב אותם ביחד. וככה אני מקבל באמת מטריה רחבה יותר למה שאני רוצה להשיג מהקנאביס באותו זמן נתון בטיפול שלי. אז זה באמת כאילו, אתה יודע, האפקט פמליה הוא מאוד מאוד משמעותי, גם מבחינת היחס שלו לחומר הפעיל, אבל גם אפקט הפמליה עצמו כמה הוא גדול, כי הרי עכשיו אנחנו מבינים יותר שיש הרבה טרפנים ופלבינואידים שכן נקשרים למערכת האנדוקנבינואידית, לא בצורה ש-THC נקשר שהוא נכנס לעומק הרצפטור, אבל כן באיזושהי תגובה מסוימת. נגיד ניקח לדוגמה את הלימון, שבן אדם מריח לימון, אפילו לשבריר שנייה, הוא מרגיש שהכל בסדר. שנייה יש השפעה אנטי חרדתית, והשילוב של הלימונים עם הקנבינואידים בעצם גורם למולקולה הזו להתמוסס הרבה יותר לאט, כי ה-THC תופס את הרצפטור. אז יש כאילו איזושהי סינרגיה בין איך החומרים מתחברים ביחד, שנותן לך את ההשפעה הרפואית המאוד ספציפית. אני מוצא את זה רק בטעמים וריחות, אני גם ככה מנחה אנשים, נגיד אם מישהו רוצה כאילו השפעה אנטי דלקתית מאוד חזקה, ושיכוך כאבים. אז אני תמיד ממליץ אותם לחפש קנאביסים שמריחים כמו אורנים, או כמו פלפל חריף, או כמו צ'ילי, כי אלה דברים שבאמת בדרך כלל יהיו להם את הטרפנים המאוד מאוד אנטי-דלקתיים. אם זה חריף, בטוח זה אנטי-דלקתי. אם זה בג'ינג'ר, אם זה בפלפל, אם זה בכל דבר בטבע. כן, אז אם הקנאביס שלך חריף, זה בהכרח אומר שההשפעה שלו תהיה שם יותר פעילות. אם מישהו מחפש מאוד את ההרגעה, אז אני אחפש את הריחות של הקשוטונית, יש לחפש את הריחות של הלבנדר, לחפש את ה... כן, ונגיד, אם זה נגיד, זה תלוי גם בסיטואציה, כן? אם זה במהלך היום, אז אני אחפש נגיד את הדברים שמרגיעים, אבל הם לא מסממים, בוא נקרא לזה לצורך השיחה, שזה יהיה דברים כאילו פירותיים, גם פירות הדר, וגם יש ריחות גבינה, ריחות שמנת חמוצה, זה יכול להיות גם אינדיקות, אבל אם ישרו עליך, תחושה מאוזנת למהלך היום, שיתנו לך את ההשפעה שאתה רוצה כאילו, מבחינת השיכוך כאבים, אבל לא יעשו אותך נופל ויטפלו בהשפעות לבד. אז ככה באמת גם הזנים שאני אישית ברפואי לפחות, אלה שנפגשתי בהם שהיה להם הכי ריחות ופרופיל ייחודי, אז לא בהכרח,
זה מעולה.
הדבר, הטרפן של אינספייר, נכון, אינספייר, אתם רואים פה, אינספייר.
זה שם. אוקיי, אני החודש הזה דווקא קיבלתי, לא רכשתי. זה קטע כזה, כי כאילו אני לא, ותנצלו את זה, תקשיבו, תנצלו את זה. אני מקבל קנאביס, אני מודה, אני לא קונה את הקנאביס, אני מקבל את הקנאביס. אני מדי חודש מקבל הצעות מכל מיני חברות שרוצות שאני אתנסה בקנאביס שלהם, ואני מציע לכם, מאוד מאוד מציע לכם לנצל את זה. תרשמו לי איזה דברים אתם רוצים שננסה, מה הדברים שמעניינים אתכם, ויש לנו את הדרך להביא את המוצרים, לבדוק אותם, ואפילו אם אתם רוצים, אתם תוכלו לבוא ולהתארח ולנסות אותם בעצמכם. תנצלו את זה, אל תפספסו את זה, אני כבר רואה שיש לנו פה אנשים שכותבים, אנחנו מאוד מאוד רוצים לתקשר איתכם. אני רוצה לספר לכם, מי, שהבנתי שאת מגיעה לארץ, איזה כיף שכל החברים איתנו פה, מצטרפים אלינו לאט לאט. הנה עמוס, אומייגאד, איזה כבוד, עמוס. אנחנו מכבדים אותך, אתה כבוד מאוד מאוד גדול לנו שאתה פה איתנו בלייב הזה, אתה גם אמור לתת לנו אישור מהבתי משפט, אנחנו מחכים לראיין אותך, כולם סקרנים ממש ממש לדעת מה קורה איתך.
בכלל גם האורח שלנו עמוס היום, הוא אורח מאוד מיוחד כי הוא פעיל לגליזציה כבר 2 עשורים, שבאמת הפיץ את הידע ברחבי כל הגלובוס ומאוד עזר להכניס את כל הנגישות לקנאביס, אז אני בטוח שאתה גם תהנה מהשיחה איתו.
בוודאי, אז אנחנו ממש תכף, הוא כבר נמצא איתנו פה ברקע, מרקוס, אדם יעזור לנו היום קצת לתרגם את מרקוס, בסדר אדם? מרקוס ידבר איתנו באנגלית, אנחנו פשוט במקום לעשות הקדמות והצגות, אז אנחנו פשוט נחבר אותו לקו. And we got Marcus on with us. Hey Marcus, what's up buddy? So
hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you great.
Ah, nice. That's always the best when you come in and you don't have to do any troubleshooting.
Yeah, so listen, first of all, it's a great honor for us to have you on our show in Israel. We have slowly more and more people are going to join us because we're like doing not on a regular day. Our regular day is every Tuesday night, but we wanted to have you on and we need to be on time. So we adjusted that show. A lot of people, they know about the bubble bags. Nobody really in Israel knows the bubble, almost nobody in Israel knows the bubble man. So we're going to have you soon telling us about yourself, showing us your art and everything. Just a few minutes before that, we just had joining us Nir Yuftero, which is my colleague in this wait,
Good.
let's have him this way. Nir, I would appreciate if you come closer to us, please. This way.
You should have come here.
אולי תבוא לפה, yes.
תבוא לפה. בדיוק.
Sorry, Marcos, this is just adjustment.
We had all the troubleshooting, בטח. ככה נעשה, אני ככה, סליחה.
Sorry. אוקיי, אז כמו שאתם מכירים, חברים, יש לנו פה שני אנשים מאוד מאוד מקצועיים בתחום הניפויים והחשיש וההכנה של מיצויים, אבל כשאני סיפרתי להם על ההיכרות שלי עם מרקוס, אז הם מאוד התלהבו, ואני פחות הכרתי את הפעילות ועליהם מאוד הכירו, ואני חשבתי שבגלל שאני חושב שבאיזשהו מקום אני מייצג את רוב הקהילה, זאת אומרת אלה שאוהבים קנאביס אבל לא באמת הכירו את התרבות, את הקולצ'ר, אז אנחנו מנסים לאט לאט לחבר עוד ועוד אנשים. So, Mr. Bubble, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's morning here in British Columbia. It looks like another beautiful morning. The ocean's just outside my window here in British Columbia. Not sure. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, he lives on the lake and stuff, you know.
Wow.
Pacific Ocean, actually. There's
What's the temps?
there's orca whales and humpback whales out there. It's the ocean. It's probably maybe 25 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Listen, slowly coming into our market, beautiful stuff. So like flowers dropping in during the show. So, you know, that's amazing. We're going to show it soon. Marcos, I'm curious, you're like almost my age. When did you started your path in the industry of cannabis? How did you get even to cannabis, you know? What was your first meeting with cannabis?
Well, I was quite young. I was about 14 years old, not as young as some and maybe a little bit older than others, but yeah, I was on a hockey team. I was taking my hockey very seriously. You had to try out for this team and you had to make the team, and I had one friend on the team who approached me one day and he said, "Hey, I have a joint." And I was really not even sure. I was like, "Oh, like, okay, what's that all about?" And I guess he had asked a few other people on the hockey team and no one wanted anything to do with it. But I said that I would try it with him. And so me and my friend Steve McAvoy, we smoked a joint for the first time when we were 14 years old, and we just had the time of our lives. We were just laughing and giggling, and it was just such great innocent fun. Quite the opposite of what most children end up getting turned on to through alcohol when they, you know, getting drunk at a young age. It's very different. There's danger involved, and it's not really a positive experience. Often kids are throwing up and being sick, and it was just nothing like that. It was the polar opposite. It was just this great experience, and I knew right away that I was going to have a close relationship with the plant, and indeed I did.
Mm-hmm. In a big way. I think it took it too far.
As far as I could possibly take it.
But we appreciate it. Yeah. אז מרקוס מספר לנו שכבר בגיל 14 היה עם חבר שלו, השתמש בקנאביס, ומהרגע שהוא השתמש בו הוא הבין שזה משהו שהוא רוצה בעצם לחקור, ללמוד ולעבוד איתו כל חייו. Terps, I love the Terps shirt. Terps.
We love the Terps. We love the Terps.
Yeah. So Marcos, then at one point you realized that it's nice to have smoking weed, right? But then you realize that there's something else, right? It's all about the tricons, the trikes, and the terps.
Yeah, that took some time to learn. I mean, I probably smoked cannabis from, oh geez, let me think. So I was 14, that would have been around 87 or 86. 87, I would have been 14. And so I probably continued with cannabis until around, 93, 94, and then I started getting into hashes and oils and kind of understanding all these concentrated, more potent versions, because I was smoking so much so quickly, I quickly found the ceiling of cannabis. You know, there's just a ceiling. You can't go past it. You can't get any more high once you get to that certain point. And that's when I started looking for concentrates, oils, and hashes and playing around. I never really made oils. I had no interest in exposing myself to chemical solvents, but I did enjoy dry sifting and playing around with hash making. It was I didn't understand still yet. I mean, I understood that I was concentrating something off of a plant. I didn't exactly understand, back then we thought if we got the trichomes off the plant, that was enough. But in fact, I would learn later on that it was really only the head of the trichome that I wanted. And the 2/3 of the trichome body, the large capitate stalk that the head sits on, is really just cellulose. And it was also diluting the concentration and affecting the sort of level of high that you could reach with this product. So obviously dry sifted hash is around 30 to 35% THC. Oh, I was not. And of course when while I was finally concentrating just the heads, this started getting into the 60 and 70% THC range. So quite a difference from just straightforward making hash, just extracting trichomes, to now, because you could have a cannabis plant that's 20%, you make some dry sift, you've doubled it up to 38+%. But to be able to triple and quadruple it, that was really when I started isolating only the gland heads away from everything else. So that was a huge revelation. That happened around 98.
How did it feel for the creation, your creation to be the basis of the entire new life technology? I mean, I guess you didn't realize that you can do all that back then. It wasn't possible to preserve all the live, all the materials, like the etheric materials that get released back in the 90s, in the beginning of the 2000s. So I'm just really wondering, your concept changed and revolutionized the way that we look for hash these days. Even Piatella hash, which is considered now the hottest thing around the world, is based on your work. So
yeah, I got lucky. I got to be a part of a unique thing. I got to be sort of the rung in a ladder, right? There's many steps in a ladder, and I got to be one of those rungs. So that was very exciting. And Piatella is very interesting because back in the day when we didn't really know why the full melt bubble would do something that we called buttering out. And back in the day, we looked at this as a sort of negative. We thought maybe there was water left in the trichomes and it was, going bad. And then we realized actually when you have a high enough concentration of terpenes and THCA, the terpenes being hydrocarbons will crash and crystallize the THCA. And so you get this sort of sugaring, buttering effect. This is basically what Piatella is. 10 years ago, you would have been laughed out of the room to post that. People have been like, oh, that's wet, or that's not, we just looked at it in a different way. Spanish people, it came across their table, and in the way that they were smoking it, often mixing with tobacco, not really just dabbing it pure, the Piatella texture becomes more convenient to use. And so now it starts becoming this popularized texture. I appreciate all the textures, but what I really like is allowing the plant to show me the texture that it is, rather than forcing and manipulating the texture upon the plant, i.e. taking full melt bubble and whipping it into a butter-like substance. You can create all sorts of textures with hash. But I like to see, often I would make full melt bubble with whatever was grown, and people would say, how do I get my hash to look like that? And I would always say, well, just, grow better weed. Nowadays, people are like, well, there's got to be other ways to do it other than just growing better weed. There's got to be ways that we can manipulate the textures of these hashes to make them appear to be the way, certain people want them to be. So I'm a bit of an old school thought. I like the resin to show me what it wants to be. more than me showing it what I want it to be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, a lot of people undermine the process of creating hash. They think that it's all about just sieving the buds and not about the whole process from the seed till the
Talking about
final
process
product.
from the seed. Let's try to take our audience into a journey of your art, of your macro art.
Sure.
Do you know how to connect to your, can you share?
You want me to share my screen?
Yeah. Do you know how to do it?
As long as it says share my screen somewhere on here, I should be able to do it. Do I need to be logged in? Usually there's just a button that says, oh, let me check these 3 buttons. Remove from stream, edit, stop mic. No, it's not that. Mute, stop. Oh, settings. There we go. In settings, hopefully. No. Camera, audio, virtual background. There should be a button somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, present.
Yeah, you found?
Yeah, it's just a different word than I was looking for. Usually it says screen sharing, but it's called present. So we'll do this. Screen sharing.
Adding setting automatically, echo.
Okay, so let me see here.
Okay, so let me just do it from here.
I should be able to do it.
Yeah, right, you should.
Yeah, I'm just opening up the page and I want to make sure I'm sharing the same page, the right page.
מיד אנחנו מנסים לחבר, מה זה, אני לא יודע מה זה.
All right, so I'm going to share. Google Chrome would like to record this. Okay, we got to go into open system preferences.
Do you have a present downstairs? So let me do it from here. Present, share screen. Let's share this one, share, and then we'll go to Babelman. Is the Babelman. You see it?
Am I sharing?
You got it? Wait.
I don't know. I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, I see it. Babelman.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. And is that me sharing that or you? Can you see me, guys? My screen? Hopefully I didn't bump you all out. I don't hear or see you anymore, but I'm in the show. Hello, hello. Okay, interesting.
Marcus, you hear me?
Ah, here they come. Here they come. I thought I lost you guys for a second.
Yeah,
you
we
see my
see
screen now? You see my share?
We see you.
Okay. Excellent. Let me see if I can just flip through these pictures. Oh, yeah. Okay. So it all starts with a seed. You can hear me as well?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure because you guys had disappeared from the screen and it looked like you were gone, but I think we've got you all back now. So these are some photos I took some years ago in order to help teach people about, the education of cannabis and cannabis resin and extraction and all of these different things. And I thought, why don't I just start from the beginning and I'll go through the entire process, and I usually walk people through this. Hey, Mish, no, from Boston. Welcome. Geez, I guess you guys are a couple of days away from Shabbat here, huh? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, respect. David Freeman's in the house as well. Welcome to him. So we're just going to go through these photos. For anyone that wants to go through these photos on their own, these are at bubblemanbrand.com under photography. Like I said, I started doing macro photography in about 2008. As I started learning more about these sort of microscopic resin glands, I needed to see them to understand them. Some of the things I had no idea what they were called, and I needed to get photos of them before I could search the internet and really discover what a cystolith hair was, or a capitate stalked, or a bulbous trichome. These were terms I didn't have a full understanding about, but the macro photography really helped me learn. So these are some Sleestack seeds from good friends of mine, Don and Aaron. DNA, if you don't know, the D stands for Don, the A stands for Aaron. DNA is Don and Aaron's genetics company, and they do great cultivars like the Kosher Kush, the Sleestack.
Amazing, because nobody knew that, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I knew DNA, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, Don and Aaron have been good friends of mine for 20 years. I met them probably around 2004, I think was their first Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam. I'd been going for almost 10 years at that point. So I was able to sort of welcome them and just connected with them right away. Super awesome guys, really focused on the resin. And it's important when you're breeding, to be focused on the resin, because if you're putting in phenotypes and cultivars that are based on resin production, it's going to be very different than if you're focused on what Prohibition always taught us to be focused on, which was how much can I get and how fast can I get it, which was really based on vegetative yields more than resin production. So we'll move through these pictures here. This is a seed that is a 25-year-old seed. It's probably closer to 30 years now. But it was 25 years before I cracked it. It's a classic cultivar called the BC hash plant. And it was very popular in British Columbia in the 90s, especially for Americans that were coming up and purchasing cannabis to smuggle back down into their own countries. This is another one that I got in 1995. This was a lamb's bread from Jamaica. Collected on my first trip to Jamaica, and it was a gift from a friend for my wedding that I was married in 1995 on the beach in Jamaica to my wife. And these seeds, this flower was given to me, and I found a couple of seeds, and it became the Jamaican lamb's bread of Canada. So it's been given out a few times, and some people are growing it and quite enjoy it. It's very different. It's very, very different from what you know today as cannabis. It's cool too, because you can see the root coming out of the husk. You can see how sharp the husk is on its edges, and how the seed removes itself is quite something. It has, you can see here the ripples of the root, and I do a nice close up here to really show how jagged the edges are of the husk. And if you look at that millimeter of distance, if the husk slices into the root, the plant will die. So you can really see how delicate cannabis life is.
Marcus, I would like to translate to those who's watching us or those who's gonna watch us about what you're talking. So, מה שאתם רואים פה זה היציאה של בעצם ההתפתחות הראשונית של הקנאביס שיוצא. המרווח הזה, המרווח הקטן הזה, אם השפתיים של המרווח נוגעות במה שיוצא, בוולד הקטן של הקנאביס, אז הדבר הזה ימות, כן. אז הכל פה זה ברמות דיוק מילימטריות. אוקיי, מרקוס, you can go on, sorry.
Oh, no, don't be sorry. And I will go, absolutely. So moving on from this plant, now this is called a bitumen. Now this is a membrane. The brown pad is actually the bottom of where the seed sits, and then the membrane coats the seed completely, and it's almost like a sac that allows the birth of the embryo to escape the sharpness of the husk. This is the only thing between the embryo and that sharp husk, and it's a very important factor in order to allow the seed embryo to escape. If you're a grower, more than one time, if you've planted seeds, you've probably seen this, where the first two set of leaves starts to come up, and the embryo, the bitumen has not released from the seed, and it just wraps itself around the cotyledon. Now, if this was left unchecked, the seed would die. The cotyledon does need to open up. The cotyledon is the first set of round leaves. The next set of leaves are the true set of leaves, and they're called the cotyledon, and that's, the epicotyl. Those are the first set of serrated leaves.
What is wrapped up? This is like... Yeah, but I didn't understand the English.
It's this. It's the bitumen. This is inside the husk, and this allows the embryo to birth out of the husk and slide out nicely.
השיליה, הבנתי. אז זאת בעצם השיליה של הזרע. Amazing.
והעלה נתפס, ואם אתה לא מוציא את זה, הוא ימות. Yeah, translate.
Okay.
So because this was on for a very short time, you can see this is the empty husk, looks like a walnut husk, just an interesting shot. And this is the empty husk with the seedling growing out. Now, like I said, if I leave that bitumen, that membrane on top of the cotyledon, and the cotyledon is not allowed to open, it will suffocate the epicotyl and the plant will die. It's extremely delicate at this stage in its life. Here I've removed the bitumen, and now you can see the cotyledon will start to open, and as it opens... Now
this picture is amazing because you're going to talk about it soon. If it is what I think it is, it's amazing. It's like a improvement for something. You did all those pictures. I want to mention that all those pictures are pictures that you did on your website. Yeah, at the enter to your website, there's a picture of you tied to this thing that carries you around. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. And all those pictures, you did it by yourself. That's your passion, right? Next to the cannabis, you have another passion, and it's the macro photographing.
Yeah, I love photography in general. Macro is just one aspect of photography, but I do really love macro photography. I love the world that it brings me into. It sort of shuts out the rest of the world as I go deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is simply, the entrance now to the birth of this cannabis plant. You've got these two sets of round leaves called the cotyledon. And as they open up, they release this extremely delicate, fragile epicotyl. It's so delicate, it's almost like wet tissue paper. You can see there's these little legs growing off of it. These are types of trichomes. They're non-glandular trichomes, so they're not trichomes that produce the medicine, but they're trichomes
that do their job.
Yeah.
They're very important.
Different types of trichomes on the cannabis plant.
Yeah, I mean, even more are being discovered, but this is definitely one of the types of trichomes. And what it does is it allows the epicotyl to lift itself up off of the cotyledon so that it doesn't tear, because it's really like wet Kleenex. It's so delicate that if it didn't have those little legs to slowly push it off, it would just tear and rip and die. And so that's just how delicate it really is. This is an up-close shot of those trichomes, and you can see that it's going to grow a lot of these trichomes in order to release itself from the cotyledon. Now look at the cotyledon.
Here you can see it.
You see this little part here on the right? Do you see the damage? Do you see the damage on the cotyledon? This is from the bitumen that was on there just for a short time. It damages the cotyledon. You have to take it off immediately. So anyone that's grown from seed will know this. The longer that you leave it on, the more likely that your plant will suffer. And if it suffers at an early stage in its life, it makes it much more difficult for it to express itself to the maximum potential of its ability down the road. So here's a great side shot. This is now the epicotyl is becoming healthy. It is absolutely covered in trichomes, allowing it to push outside of the cotyledon. You can see the white tip is actually the tips of the leaves that have yet to separate. There's a thin line that goes right down the middle, and it'll tear, and it'll become the two sets of leaves, which we can see. This is a stigma hair, little out of sequence, but these are the hairs that capture the pollen, and all of these are other types of trichomes growing on these stigma hairs, pistillate hairs. And when a single piece of pollen joins to one of these sticky little trichome arms, it'll go inside all the way down into the calyx, and it'll create it'll start the creation of a single seed. And so that's probably why I posted that there, just to have it to be a part of it. This is the mycorrhizosphere of the root system. So this is a very important part of the root system that will allow the plant to sequester. Yeah, it'll allow the plant to sequester what it needs. And so I like to show the entire plant from the root system, to the resin production and everything in between. This is an interesting shot because it shows this is the epicotyl. This is the first set of true leaves. You can see there's these sort of cystolith hairs that are growing on the inside. But if you check carefully, you can also see these round little bulbous heads. This proves that the plant produces trichomes within the first week of its life. So when you hear someone say, "Oh, I don't spray anything on my plant when it's in bloom. I only spray when it's in veg." Well, even in veg, you can still affect the resin glands in a negative way. So be careful with what you spray.
Okay, Marcus, I would have to take 1 second to stop you. I'm sorry, because this is something
This is so interesting.
I want to discuss about. אני וניר היה לנו הרבה מאוד שיחות, כל מיני מגדלים בישראל, נכון? שהטענה שלהם זה אנחנו לא מיישמים בשלב ההפרחה, אנחנו מיישמים, כמה פעמים שמענו את המשפט הזה? בשלב הגדילה, ואז בעצם זה כאילו מגן על זה, אבל פה אנחנו יודעים שברגע שאנחנו רואים את הטריכומות האלה אין סופגות, זה קולט, זה אומר שזה בתוך הצמח וזה גדל עם הצמח כבר משלב הנרסרים שלו.
ספג לתוך הרקמות של הצמח ונשאר שם. בגלל שזה גם החומרים האורגניים, הרבה מהם הם חומרים על בסיס שמן. אז שמן מתחבר לשמן.
זה פשוט חומר שהשתמשו עליו וצריכים להגנת הצומח, זה אומר שהייתה בעיה בפס הייצור, זה אומר שהמוצר הוא לא סוג א'. אי אפשר להסתכל על מוצר שהשתמשו, שהיו צריכים לתקן אותו כמוצר סוג א'.
נכון, בסדר, אני מסכים עם ניר, דרך אגב, זה ממש טיעון מעניין. Sorry, Marcus, you can continue.
Don't be. It's important that everyone understands, and I'm sorry for not speaking Hebrew.
Don't be.
All right, so another shot of the first true set of leaves. This is a true serrated leaf. You can see it's absolutely covered in trichomes, and it's covered in cystolith hairs. And it's getting ready to grow up into a nice healthy plant. You can also see some purple colors in the striations of the green. This is called anthocyanin. It's an antioxidant. It's present in flowers. It's actually what makes blueberries blue.
Go on, Marcus, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. So this is a shot of two different types of trichomes. So there's 3 different types of trichomes that are glandular. We want 2 of them when it comes to water extraction and mechanical screen separation. This is really the difference between the yields you get from a solvent versus solventless. It's also why the quality of solventless is so high. Capitate stalks, which are the tall trichomes you see with the refractions of the canvas leaves in their heads. And then there's the smaller, shorter ones next to it, which are called capitate sessile. These are the 2 that the smoker wants. If you're inhaling your cannabinoids as medicine, these are the 2 that produce the nicest volatile organic compounds and cannabinoid profiles for that.
Can I translate this?
Yes, please.
Important.
Can.
הוא אומר, בעצם מה שאנחנו רוצים פה זה רק את הבלוטות שרף הראשיות. כן? וזה מה שהטכניקה שלו בעצם מאפשרת לעשות. לקטוף רק את בלוטות השרף הראשיות.
כשהוא מדבר על בלוטות הראשיות, הוא מדבר על הראש. ראשים שאתם רואים בקצה העמוד.
רק השתיים הראשים שאתה רואה מעל לכולן, הם אלה שאתה רוצה לקטוף באופן סלקטיבי, שמשתמשים בכימיה, אז אתה כותף הכל.
Okay, I want to make sure that I understood this, Marcus. So, we see here approximately of 5 visible trichomes in this picture, right? Maybe a little bit more, 6. And those 2 on the top, the taller ones, right? You mean that these are the trichomes we want to get, not the ones on the bottom, the tall ones? Or did you mean the heads, like the balls?
Well, the tall ones are called capitate stalked. Those are the ones we want the most. The ones we want the
Okay.
second most are the shorter ones you see. Those are called capitate sessile. So all the trichomes present are the ones that we want. There are a third type, which you saw on the small leaf, which were just balls that look like they're sitting on the leaf. They
On
don't
the
have a
leaf,
stalk. Those are called bulbous. They do sit on a single stipe cell, but they sit basically almost right on the leaf, and they're very hard to break off with cold water extraction or mechanical screen extraction. They need to be melted off with solvents or CO2 in order to be extracted. But what I'll say is they aren't the most pleasant for smoking or vaporizing. They don't have the most beautiful profile like these two. So we want the capitate stalked and the capitate sessile, and less so the bulbous. Here's another great example. This is an Astro Boy plant I grew from my good friend Subcool, aka the watermelon. You can see the tall ones are very, very straightforward. Those are capitate stalked trichomes, and the shorter ones next to it are capitate sessile. You can kind of tell both of those heads look delicious and wonderful, and of course we should be extracting them both. And the process that I specialize in does that very thing.
So actually, when the post-harvest begin, and you do it mechanically, you destroy all the medical benefits of the plant.
No, not necessarily. The plant's medical benefits are all trapped in the heads. They're microencapsulated, and I mean, listen, even when people, a perfect example, I think when Rick Simpson was initially making his product here in Canada, I'm pretty sure he was using like naphtha or some other terrible solvent. I'm not sure he was cleaning the solvent. So, it's dangerous. There's contaminants that are called lead and rust inhibitors that are present in the naphtha that if you don't distill them out, they end up concentrating into the oil. And so, but it shows that even while using a dangerous chemical solvent to make the medicine, he was still able to help people cure themselves of diseases and cancer. So it shows the potency of cannabis as a medicine. Even if it's made with a chemical solvent, it still can offer medicinal benefits. That being said, I want to extract the plant in its purest form. Resin gland is its home. I don't want to destroy its home, but I want to microencapsulate that home and extract it so it's just those trichome heads. We'll get to some of those pictures here soon enough.
One second, Marcus. I want to ask you something. No, can you go back to the other picture? Okay, so what you're saying is that if we can take with alcohol or with chemicals this trichomes, and we get the potential. If we took it naturally, it's even better, right? That's what you're saying?
I prefer it, absolutely. I mean, I would fight for anyone's right to extract the cannabis plant however they like and however they want it. But what I've learned over the years that it's these two trichomes that you want. These are the highest caliber, whether it's a recreational or a medical perspective that you're looking at it from. So I'm not as interested in the bulbous heads, and the bulbous heads, there's also footprints whenever you do extractions of any type. So if you're using a chemical solvent and you don't have a degree in chemistry, there could be things that escape you, and those things could be potentially dangerous for.
So I want
there's people that are. Go ahead.
I just want to.
זה הדובדבן של הדובדבן שבקצפת.
כן, זאת אומרת שבעצם מה שהוא אומר, כשאתה משתמש בחומרי אלכוהול או בכל חומר כימי אחר, בכל ממיס אחר, גם אתה אוסף הרבה מעבר למה שאתה צריך, נכון? זה מוריד גם את הרמה, את הפיוריטי, זה דבר אחד, והדבר השני שזה
מעלה את הסיכון שאתה לא רוצה.
כי אנחנו לא כימאים, והסיכוי שלנו להגיע לתוצאה טובה, כאנשים מהמניין, בבית שלנו, במסגרת האישית, אז עדיף כבר לעשות את זה בצורה נכון, זה לא לסכן.
בגלל זה למשל בריק סימפסון, אז תמיד אנחנו משתמשים, אני הייתי משתמש לפחות באתנול לשתייה. רק לשתייה, לא פארמה גרייד, לא... רק פוד גרייד.
הבנתי.
ואז גם עם נשארות ונשארות שאריות. אין דבר כזה שמוציאים את הכל בבית, אתה לא יכול, אבל זה שוב, זה משהו שאפשר להכניס לגוף והוא לא רעי.
אז יש לנו פה גם עוד שאלה אחת שאני רוצה לשאול את מרקוס. אני מסתכל פה ואני רואה את כל העלים היפים שהוא מראה עם הטריכומות ואת כל הטריכומות, ואני זוכר שכשאנחנו מסתכלים בקנאביס רפואי, שאנחנו רואים את כל התמונות שמעלים בפייסבוק וכל מיני תקריבים ובאינסטגרם ובטיקטוק, אני רואה כאילו רק את הקווים האלה, ומעניין אותי לשאול את אלכס מה הסיפור עם זה, את מרקוס. מרקוס, so I want to ask you another question, okay? Sorry for waking you up, Mr. Baba. So I want to ask you another question. So we see here that we look at, you can go to the next picture as well. I think it's an even better example. We see a lot of trichomes, but we see the heads. Like you look at it, you can see clearly that they have bubble heads. All the, right? Like there's like all, and now, but then when you look at a lot of pictures, you know, on Instagram and TikTok, we see a lot of people that are uploading pictures that you see only the stems. You don't see the pistils.
No, it's not even the pistils. It's the hair trichomes.
The pistillate hairs.
What actually does it
hairs.
I would love to show him.
The type of trichome that has no head. Right?
Well, these are non-glandular trichomes. They're not the ones we're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay, and what does it mean though?
Well, I already showed you one. The one that allows the leaf to get off of the body of the cotyledon is a non-glandular trichome. There's trichomes that have mechanisms that are not to produce medicine, and those ones I don't study. I have no interest in those ones. My only interest is the little glandular trichome heads, and those are the ones I'm trying to get off. And this is a neat picture because you can see a lot of them have gone cloudy, and there's even little. If you look carefully, there's little droplets of amber. You'll see golden heads. There's probably about 30 or 40 of them on this picture, but you have to really look up close to see them. And then, of course, the anthocyanin going right down the center stem again.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Like, we're not accustomed to this type of quality because the amount of bulbous heads on this, like the sessile capitates heads, sorry.
Just trichome heads, yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, the heads.
Well, I'll tell you something. Most people destroy their heads by touching their plants. My hashtag for Instagram is never touched. Don't touch the plant. And don't walk through the plant with your t-shirt and your arms bumping and rubbing and squeezing and touching. These are extremely delicate. And I go to people's places all the time and I macro photograph their plant, and they'll be touching the plant and bumping the plant so much that when I photograph the plant, you just see stalks with very little heads. And they're like, oh, what happened to my head? So you've done that. That's human interference that does that. When you touch the plant too much and you walk and you bump and you touch, these heads are extremely sticky. And all you have to do is touch them, and you'll pull them right off of their plant. Another thing is,
they don't make sense. They say the lab test says like 26 THC, 25 THC, but then you look at the plant up close, but you see no real heads.
Right, but you're looking at 0.0001% of the heads that are present on that plant. And if you're just looking at a top bud that you've been squeezing and touching and bumping, it's not an accurate way to tell what's present. The lab test is much more accurate because it's testing from a homogenized sample from multiple places. You're not supposed to just take one top bud to test. You're supposed to take buds from different places. But if I put my macro lens,
you choose the specific buds that you want to test.
Well, that's why it's not accurate, because you're only testing a single bud. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to test, homogenize the entire plant, and then test different samples of that. If you just test a top bud, you're manipulating the results. You're going to get the highest result, but the rest of the plant won't be that high. So You might get a 26 on the top bud, but the rest of the plant might be a 12 or a 13. So when you actually homogenize the whole thing, you're around 16 or 17% THC, a solid 10% below what you think you are.
And that percentage become real, like you can get a real aspect and understanding of what the concentration of the plant.
Marcos, Marcos, you gotta get us some of this good weed that you're showing us in the. We really suffer here in Israel. There's like only one here, one there. You know, one strain here and there. You might be lucky to get.
Harvest.
Yeah. So.
Honey banana.
The honey banana. Yeah, me and Marcus, we've been in. Marcus was judging in the full moon extract contest.
Yeah. Wow.
And he was judging there, and he stole the first place hash, and we've been hitting on that all this week in Germany. It was amazing, and we were just walking around and singing honey banana, honey banana. Some strains, they just, it just needs. You just need to smell them, and you want to connect with them. You want to use them. And this,
absolutely,
yeah. And it's amazing how people can travel the terpenes into the rosin, and this is something that I would also like you at the next session to talk about. Okay?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've been also growing for many years, so do you have any understanding about how people created special cultivars that have dominant smells like of strawberries, of cheese, of vanilla suddenly, the stuff that didn't exist before, and it was created through cultivation. So can you give us a tip on that, an understanding, like how does that work, like changing the terp profile or like Xing breeds? I mean,
this is breeding, right? This happens differently from different people that are doing different breeding. It's all about selection. It's all about going out, planting a bunch of plants. If you took grade 10 biology, you probably learned about Mendel, the monk who did it with the peas, and he explained that we need a large gene pool to choose from. And the larger your gene pool, if you're choosing from a very small gene pool, you're creating inbred cultivars that are going to create mutations, and you might find something unique. But to really find variety, you need to pull from a very large gene pool. And if you plant 50 to 100,000 seeds, and then you go and walk through those plants and you smell for flavors, or you look for specific cultivars that have very specific growth structures, whatever you're looking for, it's literally subjective from the breeder's standpoint. Some people love flavor, so they're going to just look for those anomalies that are creating excessive amounts of flavor. Once you find one, a female and a male, potentially a glandular male, you start breeding those cultivars together and you create offspring, and that offspring will create phenotypes, and those phenotypes will have different flavor profiles and different cannabinoid profiles. And it's the people who specialize in breeding who are able to say, this is the one, and if I take this one and this one and I put them together, they're going to produce something extremely.
So it's not just about me having a farm and I'm starting to grow cannabis. There's gotta be in the chain of the growth. I'm not talking about
evolution.
The evolution. Yeah, there's gotta be somebody that's really searching and looking and building this specific strain. And it's a lot of work. We had Dr. Noam Cherkolnovsky with us the last time. He was talking about how they do it. Marcos, I'm looking at this picture, and it's amazing how you can see the exotonin inside the trichomes, the purple lines inside of them.
It bleeds in it.
It's amazing to see. It's like going into the... Is this, does it mean that it's inside of it, or does it mean that it's showing through?
It's inside of it, absolutely. It's definitely inside of it, absolutely. I'm just trying to log in right now so I can't talk in the chat room, and people are asking me questions that I want to answer. So I'm just sort of working on signing in here. Let me just give it I hope it doesn't bump me out, but
לא נראה, הוא תכף הוא יתחבר אלינו עוד פעם. אני רוצה להגיד משהו על הנושא הזה של הקנאביס, בהקשר של טרפנים ושל פלבונוידים וכל הנושא הזה, אוקיי? תקשיבו, היום הייתה פה בחורה מאחת החברות שישבה פה ודיברה איתי, והיא דיברה איתי על כל הנושא הזה של הקנאביס לפי אחוזים, על הביקוש הגבוה ל-T24 וכדומה. שטויות שמה?
שרודפים אחרי אחוזים.
נכון. עכשיו, למה זה שטויות בעצם? כי בעצם על אותו הצמח, כמו שלמדנו מנועם, על אותו הצמח, מהלמעלה, מהלמטה, מהצדדים, יכול להיות טרפנים שונים, יכול להיות קנבינואידים שונים, נכון. יכול להיות רמות שונות, ובעצם מה שקורה היום...
כמו שהוא הראה לך, סוגי טריכומות שונות, באותו מקום,
נכון.
מכילות רכיבים שונים,
נכון,
ואספקט שונה.
נכון.
זה גם טריכומות יותר בשילות וטריכומות פחות בשילות.
זה שלפעמים רואים שכל הפרח מלא טריכומות, זה לא אומר שיש בפני, הוא חזר, שיש בפני משהו.
תחזיר אותו. אז הטכניקה מאפשרת לקטלג ולנפות דרגות שונות, גם של בשלות וגם של גדלי טריכומות. ואז אתה יודע איפה המלט, אתה יכול למצוא את החלק הכי טוב של הטריכומות בתוך הצמח.
אני בשידור חי, תראה.
Yeah, we were talking about separation by size and by maturity of trichomes, and now how it allows you to find the best part of a certain cultivar. You know, because we were talking about different types of trichomes in different parts of the plant.
So Marcus,
I don't know why I can't chat. I can't chat in the chat. I can chat in the private chat, but when I go to comment in the chat, it's just not letting me, even though I'm signed in. But I hate to ignore people when they're asking questions. So the answer to the gentleman's question of where we can see these pictures is at bubblemanbrand.com, and that is under photography. I'm not sure we can't. Maybe because I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I just wanted to share it again.
We shared the website link.
It's so strange that I can chat privately, but I can't make comments.
Yeah,
this is new to me, though. I don't use this StreamYard very often.
The private chat. Yeah.
What's that?
Okay. Yeah, but you can answer in the
comments. Go to the
comments after.
It has no box for me to type into, is what I'm telling you. There's no way for me to type into the comment box.
Really?
Wow. Really? Okay, it's not there.
So next time, maybe
No. Next time, what we'll do is we'll give him our interest, not as a guest, but as an owner.
Okay.
What are you doing? What are we doing? Okay. No, you can't do. You can't control what is. I see.
No,
please continue, Marcus.
Yes. I'm just going to be sharing. I'm going to share this with my YouTube audience. I have 145,000 people on there. So now we're also live on my YouTube channel. I should have done it earlier. We did miss a little bit, but we have so many pictures to continue to go through here. And funny enough, now I can comment in the comment section. As I shared on my YouTube, it allows me to now comment and answer questions.
Nice.
So now I'm more organized. I don't need to use my phone, but thank you. It's all working now. I will write that address again for you. bubblemanbrand.com. There you go. Boom Shankara Mahadev. All right. So this is a photo I took at a good friend of mine's house, Ramo, the urban grower. This is a UBC rock star, I believe. A lot of anthocyanin in this photo. This is one of my prized photos. I sold this image for a very large chunk of cash to a magazine called Frank 151. It's been published in a host of different magazines. It just really came out beautiful, this particular image. And it really shows when a cultivar is grown for trichome production that you can get quite a bit of trichome production on a single leaf, and this is the a little sugar leaf. So
yeah, this is better than all the buds that we.
One sugar leaf is better than a whole bag that you can find in a pharmacy, man. One sugar leaf in this picture.
That's no good. That's no good. We got to change that.
No, really
this is just a little. This is a little bumblebee that landed on a dried plant that I had out in my.
I love that. That's the picture I want to do in
the office.
Yeah, in my office. No, there's another one.
He's
yeah.
Wow.
Look at this little creature. It's like an alien.
It's filled with trichomes of itself. Huh?
Wow.
Here we have maturing trichomes. So you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, you have a clear one. In the top right-hand, you have a cloudy one. And then in the middle, you have ones that are starting to age. And basically, once the trichome breaches, the heads start to, it's oxidization. So the terpenes and all of these volatile organic compounds start to change in color. Cannabinoids are mostly odorless and colorless. THC is definitely odorless and colorless. So when you see colors like this, you can know that it's not THC, but it's the volatile organic compounds aging and really, I guess, ending, starting to end their cycle. And they just become these beautiful different colors. So there's a whole host of subjective information that says, don't cut them down when they're clear. Oh, wait till they're foggy. Wait till half of them are amber.
Reggie says that testing showed till up to 80% amberness shows no degradation of cannabinoids.
Right, the cannabinoids aren't what's degrading in there at all. The degradation is from the trichome volatile organic compounds, and it's degrading because it's changing color. So this is also something that I prefer to use my own bioassay with rather than a lab test. And the simple way to do that is you can cut your plant down a little early, you can cut it down a little late, then you can cut it down more in the middle. And you'll notice that all three of those things create very different effects when you are using it as a medicine or as a recreational product.
So if I prefer to cut it like after 7 weeks when they clear and like that with no
it'll probably be more racy. Usually it's a little bit more racy when you cut it down early. When you cut it down a little bit later, sometimes it can be a little more sedative. These are generalizations. It's not always like that, but cannabis is subjective. So don't let anyone tell you that there's a perfect time for you to cut it down. The perfect time will be the time that you find is the perfect time. Right. And like I said, this is subjective. I like these two little guys giving each other a fist bump.
See that? So is it okay when they touch each other? Like I see sometimes, when I see that it's like, because they stick to each other, but is it harming?
No, there's no harm done. I mean, sometimes if there's a lot and they really stick together and glob, it might be harder for you to extract them using water and ice because you want them to be singular and sink in the water and fall through the screens. But I just thought this was
right. Radiation would make it a little bit melting, no?
Well, yeah, there's heat from radiation, so any type of heat or oxidization can definitely do that. Here's a really powerful image. This is what the plant looks like after I've washed it with water and ice. Nice. So you can see I'm leaving everything else behind.
Yeah, you don't leave anything on the plant.
Well, I leave everything that I don't need and I take everything that I want, which is the glandular trichome heads. And you can see how efficient I am at the process. And you can kind of see how the trichomes, once the heads are gone, if you notice, they're all round. They're not flat. So this is why the head breaks off so easily from the trichome stems. Very powerful image.
Yeah, it has a disconnection point like a fruit.
And this is how it really looks.
Yeah, this is when you isolate just trichomes off of the rest of the plant. This is what it looks like, and it's very, for anyone that's a smoker, you look at a photo like this. This is the money shot. Out of all
this is I'm gonna have to wipe my drooling for a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is amazing picture.
This is the God's nectar.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some comments there. Yo.
You can keep going, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm just checking. I believe I had a call with another group here. 9, 10, 11, 12. I think we're okay. I'm going to check real quick. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing this particular reading right now. So yeah, these are the pure glandular trichomes, unadulterated. This is the ultimate form of cannabis medicine if you can acquire this. And this is what the bubble bags do. They allow you very simply and easily at your own home to use water and ice and wash all the resin glands off of the plant and collect them. So these this is a dry sift photo from one of my mentors, Skunkman Sam, and you can just see the absolute purity, perfect amberness. He grew these plants himself. This man collected seeds in all the hash producing countries in the world in the 70s. He bred them in his greenhouse in Amsterdam at his company Hortifarm. He produced all the CBD cultivars for the GW Pharmaceutical in the UK. And so I've been very lucky to have some incredible mentors over the years that are, extremely advanced in cannabis science and cannabis breeding and cannabis agriculture. So these are a lot of just really nice trichome shots that I took. Some are wet washed, some are dry sifted and static sifted. And they just, you can tell these trichomes are dried on the plant and they have ridges. They look like raisins almost more than grapes. And that's how you can tell that, those other ones that you saw, those were not dried. Those were taken off of fresh plants. And that's why they looked so round and perfect with almost no ridges in them whatsoever. Just little diamonds, right? Little diamonds you can see.
Amazing.
And you can also see, if you look at the far right here, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse on the screen, but right here on the right, there's a trichome with a small yellow center. And that is where that's abscess where the stalk plugged into the head. So you can see where the stalk breaks from the head, it goes into the head. So this is where the head will pull in air and light. And once the air and light gets into the head, then you'll start seeing these volatile organic compounds alter and change color. It'll go from clear to cloudy and then eventually amber and gold and all of these wonderful colors.
Amazing.
So if you collect the hash dough with the stalk, then doesn't that prevent from that kind of change of oxidation?
Sorry, what was the question? If you prevent?
Yeah, you said that the little yellow spot is the disconnection point of the trichome.
Right, and you need to disconnect the trichome, so...
Yeah, I feel you for the purity. I'm saying, I wondered if the old age hash, which didn't concentrate only on that and mechanically broke the plant, then it collected the trichomes with the stalks. And then they didn't break that connection point, which allows...
the connection point breaks as it ages. It's not just you removing the head. The head... This is why they're still growing on the plant, changing color. You haven't removed them. You saw those plants that were orange trichomes. Well, why are they orange? The stalk is still attached to them because the stalk is degrading where it plugs into the head and it's making micro fissures and it's allowing oxygen and light in. So there's nothing you can really do. And trust me, you don't want to extract the heads with the stalks in order to somehow preserve. It's the way human beings think. We're constantly... It's like, for instance, now we used to cure cannabis. We would get rid of the monoterpenes because they're caustic, they're sharp, they're not pleasant to smoke. But now young people are freezing everything. They're washing everything frozen. They're putting everything in a freeze dryer. They're preserving everything right till the end. And then when you smoke the hash, it's harsh. It makes you cough. It's monoterpenes because this is a new generation that thinks we must preserve everything. The older generation, which is wiser, is saying, why would you preserve something that's so sharp on your throat? Oh, because we get more and it's meltier and there's more terpenes in there. Well, terpenes are hydrocarbons. They're caustic chemical solvents. And so you want to enjoy them to a degree, but you certainly don't want to preserve every single last one of them because they're harsh to smoke and vaporize. So I like the cure. I like to cure myself. I'm a big fan of the cure.
It's all about...
And if you want to produce only oils from it, to oral consuming and not to smoke?
Yeah.
it's also does it important to preserve everything?
I guess it depends on your perspective, right? It's do you want to preserve everything, and what is everything? What's your definition of everything, and why are you trying to preserve
All
everything?
the
Do you even
molecular
understand?
content, everything that you talk about. If I don't
Right.
cure, if I fresh frozen and dry freeze, and then make oils for oral consumption,
Smoking.
not smoking, does it better medically? Maybe because I get more of the
That's an
plant?
assumption. That's an assumption. Humans always think more is better, but sometimes less is better.
Or just the right amount. It's always just the right amount. Too much is bad, too little is bad.
Which is subjective and changes per person. Too much for me might be not enough for you.
Especially in cannabis.
So Marcus,
Especially
I
in
think
cannabis.
there's one thing that we can say about your technique is that we really get what we need to get, and
Yep.
we also get it in the kind of an easy way, you know, much easier than when I do the sift. You know, I do the sift, and I usually do sift, and I tried to do it with the bubble bags,
Yep.
and I think it was so much easier to get everything out, but then I didn't really know how to manage what I got outside of it. So if anybody wants to use your techniques, is there a way that we can go and look in some kind of instructions, videos, you know, because the Israeli people, we're not really connected like you guys up there in Canada and the United States, you know?
Yeah, I have it all on my YouTube channel. And in fact, a lot of the people from my YouTube channel are now in the chat. Bingo Lombardi is in there right now. He's one of my admins on my YouTube channel, which is called Bubbleman's World. That's youtube.com/BC Bubbleman. I'll put the link in the chat here.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Basically, there's all sorts of videos on there for bubble hash, dry sift, rosin production,
but
endless amounts. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking to myself, you know, because of the water and the ice and everything that's been doing inside of the process, different people that using it can bring different kind of quality.
Obviously.
What would not really happen in sift, right? In dry sift. There is a risk that you're taking when you're using extra. But then what? You're getting more amount of it? I'm trying to see what's the benefits.
Of what? Dry sift versus water hash?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to know? The benefits of dry sift versus water hash?
The other way, yes.
Water hash versus dry sift. Water hash is extremely effective. Getting dry sift to pure heads is an art form, and it's difficult. And you'll get a very small yield. Bubble hash, on the other hand, will extract 90 to 95% of what's there, and you'll always get a bigger, more effective yield, and you'll purify it in a way, thanks to the water, making everything float while the resin glands sink. It just makes it easy for everyone. Like, I could train anyone to make bubble that's, you know, bubble is a purification method. It's not about quality. Quality is done in the grow room with the grower and the genetics. They take care of that. Months and months of variables. They give me the product. All I do is I unveil that product. I remove everything but the heads. And when you've got just the heads, this becomes the word of God in regards to the quality. Once you achieve purity, only then will you know what the quality is. Most growers have a cognitive dissonance where they believe intimately that they are the greatest grower on earth and nothing is better than the cannabis that they grow. And this is part of the relationship that we have with cannabis. It's a nice relationship. We're proud of our plants. We love our plants. But if you're willing to be humbled, you know, there's a lot of people out there that can always surprise you and show you something that you just can't believe. And it's easier to sort of be blinded by the quality of your cannabis because it looks nice and it's crystally and it smells nice and you enjoy the effects. But if I take that cannabis and I wash it and the hash does not melt, well, then something was done incorrectly. That hash is not the best that it could be. It may have appeared to be so on the flower, and I have countless people contact me all the time saying, how do I get my hash to melt like yours? And I'll have to answer them, well, that actually happens most likely in the grow room. If you followed the process and you purified and you looked under a microscope and it was pure heads, then the problem was in the grow room. You didn't allow the plant to express itself. Maybe you were feeding it salt nutrients. Maybe there was no mycorrhizosphere wrapped around the roots for that symbiotic relationship that all plants require. And on and on and on the list goes. And it's why often people with water hash will make hash that isn't exciting to them. It's sandy, it doesn't stick together. And instead of going down the rabbit hole, which is the long-term 10+ year experience of learning how to grow better cannabis and maybe even learning how to breed or acquire better cannabis to grow, they just turn around and say, let's just make butane oil. Let's just blast it with butane. It's gold. It looks great. And they go off on this sort of tangent, which human beings generally like to do. They want to cut the corners. They want to get the quick. And so, rosin has now become what butane used to be. Now people, when the hash isn't good enough, they press it into rosin. And 90% of people's live hash rosin is from mediocre hash. It's not from full melt hash. And what I personally would love to see is when people show me rosin from their hash, I would also like to see their hash. Because that will tell me the story.
True. That's the issue here. You can even find live hash and live rosin here, in any kinds of formats. Some stuff that is really pretty, but you can't find live hash here. I mean, not that, I'm big into aging and curing my hash, but it's just something that's so scarce. So you can't even find what you like, the process here, everybody wants to make bigger amounts. They don't care about the final melt quality, as you say. And when people like that come to me, I try to explain to them that our process would get you less amount, but much better qualities.
And people don't want to pay for it. That's the other thing you have to keep in mind. People have no interest they just have zero interest. All of us, we're connoisseurs, we're excited about this. The majority of people just don't care. They want to get the best bang for their buck with the most THC for their buck. Now, of course, if you take them through the experience and you show them something special like honey bananas, they're still gonna, wow, I never knew such a thing existed. But this is very much the way the majority of people think. They're just, whether it's recreational or medical, they're just happy to get something that's okay.
I just,
most people,
I loved it that from the one side you said that anyone can learn how to make bubble hash.
Check this out, man.
And then on the other side you said so many people try to do it properly and fail because they don't really follow the steps and really love it enough to learn about the entire process.
Yes, exactly. And extraction, full melt extractions in the chat room has a good.
Using your one hitter.
Okay, great. Full melt extraction in the room. Full melt extraction in the room said something that's also very important. Once you've produced full melt hash, there's just no reason to press it into rosin anyway. The whole reason people are pressing full melt or non-melt hash into rosin is so they can dab it. That was the whole process. They don't want to smoke it. They want to be able to dab it on a quartz banger and inhale it as vapor through a rig. And so the entire reason rosin grew in popularity was to produce hash so that you could produce this rosin. If you produce the hash from flower, you end up with some contamination in there that ends up really affecting the banger. When you put the dab in and it heats up, you go to dunk the banger in isopropanol and the banger is still coated in a yellow, oily liquid. You got to get the Q-tip out and clean it. Live hash rosin, on the other hand, cleans much nicer off a banger. Usually all you have to do is dip it in iso, lift it out, and it'll be clean as a whistle. So these are sort of things that you learn as you become a dabber and start enjoying these.
We don't see that kind of quality around so much. I vape semi-solids. Like that's the best hashes we have. Like half semi-melts. And it's difficult. Like there's no technology for it, and there's no accessible way. So finding a way that's effective enough and accessible enough is tricky. I mean, even in US, if you want to smoke like the hash in its form and it's not full melt, then it's more difficult to do. But
yeah, it just depends on what you're. It's not that difficult, to be honest. You just smoke it in a pipe. It's quite simple. You just have to change the way you smoke it. If you have hash that doesn't melt, it can go into joints. It can be smoked in different types of vaporizers, but you'll end up with 80% of the material just sitting in the vaporizer because there's really only 10 to 20% of oils to vaporize out of it.
So you're saying that if your bubble is clean enough, then you barely, like if you press it into rosin, then the purity doesn't change that much. I mean, and the concentration don't change that much if you remove the resin glands itself, like the material that the resinous gland made of.
It changes drastically depending on the quality of the hash. If it's super full melt hash, it changes very little. If it's bunk mid-grade hash, it goes from something you can't dab to a dabbable product, which is a vast difference. But
I meant if you have up your full melt.
I don't really press my full melts. No. Yeah. I just like, some people do, and that's fine. They're allowed. That's the beautiful thing about cannabis. You can do with it as you please, but definitely, I find there's no reason to press full melt. It dabs, it melts, it's clean on my banger, and I love the taste and the flavor and the effects as is.
Wow. Amazing, Marcus. This is amazing. This is like one of the best lives we had, So much knowledge.
Awesome. Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, definitely. I want to, just before we saying goodbye, I want to tell our Israeli audience that's going to watch us, and they are watching us now, that soon we're going to have an education behalf of the Babelman school, which is going now wide all around the world. So we're going to have a spot here in Israel, in our place. So if you guys are interested, אם חברים, אם אתם מעוניינים, אתם יכולים להצטרף להכשרה דרך האקדמיה לניפוי ומיצויים, שנעשית פה בכיתות הלימוד של עמותת מעלה. אתם מוזמנים להירשם, ומרקוס יהיה המורה שלכם באופן די אישי. Thank you, Marcus, so much for your time. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, and we would love to have you again on our show. And soon, we hope you're going to come here to Israel.
Yeah, well, we'll go on the show again because we didn't finish all the pictures, and we can do a part two. And we can go through the rest of the pictures.
Yeah, we'll do it again, definitely. Thank you so much.
But this is beautiful, and thank you for your contribution and spreading the knowledge all these years with no, real guarantee that you'll see something from it. And it shows how big your personality and your heart is. And we really appreciate you. Thank
Marcus,
you.
before you leave, I gotta tell you something. I've been using those. I've been using those, and they're amazing. And I cannot stop smoking without, I'm smoking it all day. This is what you gave me, the hash hits. The hash hits. And, and every time I'm taking some hash and I'm dropping it and I can smoke it for a few times. It's amazing. And it hits you straight to the head. It doesn't go through the lung. It goes straight to your brain. It's amazing.
Yeah, cerebral. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the hash hits, Ellie. I'm really glad that I left those with you and was able to give a bunch out. That's a product that we've released in Canada a while ago, and we're going to be re-releasing it as we had a little bit of obstacles and difficulties. And I'm also releasing it in Washington State, in Nevada, in Arizona, in Missouri, and hopefully here soon in New York. So we'll see how it goes. There were some interested parties at the ICBC.
We'll do it here also.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I gave them to Ellie, absolutely. And also Germany was also interested, if you can imagine, for the pharmacy. Having those in allows the German pharmacy to just put a piece of hash inside. That's called compounding. And that's how the medicine has to be sold in Germany. The pharmacy has to be
that, and you're buying that full. Oh, I would love to have that in Israel. I wish. But we'll go to Germany. We'll get it there. Yeah, so this is amazing. Also, we are waiting for you to update us if there's any genetics that we can have here in Israel. Now that we can import them, we would love to have something interesting. So as soon as you got it, if you got the honey banana or anything else, just hit us up with that.
Yes, we'll be talking to Terry from Flowers and Hash here in the near future, the gentleman that I met in Germany who has the most amazing cut of the honey bananas. He also has amazing cuts of all sorts of different cultivars, and I'm definitely working on working together with him to get his cultivars into a tissue culture lab so that they can be shipped as plantlets legally all around the world and get into all of these incredible international markets and, you know, just avoid just being in a single market like the US. The cannabis market is a world market right now, and people need the right cultivars desperately.
Yeah, it's interesting that when you go around to all those conventions and expos and you see that the market is really getting to be a community, a worldwide community. And yeah, it's nice to see. But a lot of people have a long way to go and to get to where your specialists are, Marcus. You know, there's some specialists in the world that have been doing that, they've been done it, and we have so much to learn from you. And it's so nice that you are sharing your knowledge and all your art with us. A lot of people you don't know, but Marcus had his pictures also on National Geographic, right? Yeah. And,
yep, High Times magazine this month. I have photos published in the July issue as well as an article on my health.
I must say, it's amazing, you know, that you don't have just the knowledge. I mean, it's when you're going through something like that, like this experience with you, it wasn't just about that knowledge that you gave us, so much knowledge. We were enjoying the art of the photography. It was amazing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a passion for the hashing, as you do, Ellie. That's why we got along so well.
We have that passion, yeah. We have that passion. We're like the infants, you know, like we just started with our own small, and it's not so
exciting.
Small, but with our own young market, and it's really, really exciting. And Marcus, thank you so much. Really, I know I have to let you go, so we'll see you soon. We love you very, very much, and I'll call you. I have a lot of things to update you. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Much love. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye. Wow, that was amazing.
אין ספק, איש מעניין, איש עם הרבה ידע, איש למדינת ישראל הרבה לאן להתקדם ולאן ללמוד בתחום היחס לקנאביס, אם זה בתחום הנגיעות שאנחנו רואים סרטונים שאנשים חופרים לנו.
Don't touch our weed, don't touch our weed.
עושים טרימינג ידני על...
לא, טרימינג ידני זה טוב, כל עוד זה לא נעשה בצורה כזאת. בטירוף, אוקיי?
שוב, אבל...
תראה, אם אני תופס את הפרח מהסטיק הקטן שיש ועושים את הטרים, זה דבר אחד.
זה להבין, אנשים האלה עוברים אלפים של פרחים ביום.
ואז אתה גם רואה שיש הרבה חשיש על הכפפה. הרבה חומר נדבקות על הכפפה, אם אתה מגלגל את החשיש.
חוץ מחנלה.
וזה בעצם התקופה שלנו.
חנלה והצוות שלה, הם מתייחסים יפה לצמחים.
אני לא מכיר, אבל אם יש מישהו שמתייחס
פרסומות זה דבר יפה.
טוב חברים, תודה רבה, נעמתם לנו, תודה לכל מי שהצטרף אלינו מהארץ ומעולם, people from Israel and from all around the world, thank you so much. Every week we have our show and every time we're trying to bring interesting people from around the world to talk, so sometimes we have some Hebrew, sometimes we have some English, but it's always interesting. לפעמים אנחנו בעברית, לפעמים באנגלית, אבל תמיד מעניין. אוהבים אתכם המון, אני פה עם האנשים החביבים שלי, עם ניר, המדהים, עם בן, החשישיין, ועם אדם ונדיש, המתורגמן שלא תרגם לנו כלום היום. אבל אדם, אנחנו גם לא הספקנו לדבר איתך על החברה, you have a CBD company in London, we're going to talk about it next time, we're going to give us some knowledge about the CBD. 100%. Thank you very much,
What's the name of your company?
NBF CBD.
Yeah.
NBF CBD will put that in the comments.
Search for O Center, מעלה, search for the Academy and for Nir Yuftero. Bye bye guys.